We have Ray Fujino, OIA Executive Director, joining us. Thanks for taking some time, Ray. Obviously, you and your office have been quite busy with everything going on this week and then before that and all that. Happy New Year, first of all. I wish, obviously, I'm sure you wish, we all wish that we were starting out the new year with some better news as far as prep sports goes. But I think I would say most people probably weren't surprised by the announcement from the OIA right the other day, but or yesterday rather, but still disappointed nonetheless, right? Can you kind of talk us through, what went into that decision for the OIA?
Yes. First of all, Happy New Year to you, to Kalani. Seems like an eternity since we even had a sporting event in the OIA. But this decision didn't come very easy, for the principals and athletic directors of the OIA. It was, we have been trying and holding on and waiting to at least start workouts and get something going as far as the league. But with every passing week, the seasons become less of a possibility. So, I think the move forward right now is to focus on the last season, which is spring, and fall and winter. I know that HHSA combined the two seasons, and when I say HHSA, I mean all of us as leagues, right? OIA, BIF, MIL, KIF, and ILH. We collaboratively agreed to try and combine it and see if we could get it going, hoping that the pandemic would get better and not worse by January. Obviously, it's very worse, outside of Hawaii. But in Hawaii, it seems like it's a steady rate of infections and so forth. So the decision was after the decision was made to cancel state tournaments, we as a league decided to cancel the fall and winter, league seasons for the OIA.
It's really been a fluid situation, right? I mean, it's back from March till now. I mean, so much more has been learned about this coronavirus, but there's still so much that we don't know about it, right? So how much were you guys just kind of at the mercy of, the health of the general public, and then all of those external factors outside of athletics and schools?
Yes, we discussed all of those factors, fans, with not only fans at games, whether to charge admission or not, whether we'll have enough referees to cover all our events. And then, I don't think people realize, but when you combine two seasons, that'll entail twice the amount of buses that we need to contract to move our teams if we try to have competitions, and then the list goes on and on. It's a chain reaction to all the different needs to make it happen. And, I guess we were at the point where, I think it became almost, especially at this point, to try and salvage the season at this point would be, almost impossible for us. So again, we're trying to focus on the spring. Spring was canceled last season, last school year. So we really want to have something, to go by in the spring. So at least we can have some competitions, whether it be just for participation or, if we can really have a competitive season, with competitive seasons, if there's any kind of postponement of a game due to this COVID, which is occurring, right, both at the pro, college, and, high school levels, then records would come into play, replay of games and so forth, which would be very difficult in the short period of time that we have for the season. So, we're still working on trying to salvage the spring season at this point.
You're hearing of some teams, or at least group of players, right, from whatever sport it may be, and I'm sure your office has gotten those calls as well. You hear about it, kids working out at the park together. What are the dangers of that? Why um, is it so important that that not occur?
Um, for one, if you're asking me in the perspective that these are possibly our high school coaches in the OIA, it would be one of a liability issue because we're not started back up. You know, in on two fronts. Yeah, with the Department of Education has not restarted athletics, as well as the league. You know, the league, we haven't restarted athletics. So these coaches are acting as private individuals. So there are I think that if they're doing that, they're assuming personal liability as a personal citizen, a private citizen within Hawaii. And I think if they're willing to take that risk, then that's up to them. But I think that's the major concern, that when we have our high school coaches in the OIA, they're not only representing themselves and the community and this high school that they coach at, but also the Hawaii Department of Education, that we are all part of. Their actions become part of a bigger responsibility and bigger jurisdiction than just themselves and the 5 or 6 kids that they're working out with. So I think that's where my concern is that I hope that, they're aware of that, and it puts a strain on not just, us here on Oahu, but whatever we do as, in a league, and especially if we're a public school, it will affect, public schools statewide. So I think that's the trickling effect of this situation.
You talked about how the hope now is season 2, what the HHSA called season 2, right? The spring sports from March to May. What needs to happen for that to occur?
First and foremost is that there are, I guess, the confusion from the public are the phases and the tiers. We have the Department of Health restarting phases as far as the state, and then you have individual counties having their tiered system as well. So it does affect both because especially in the spring, not every school in the OIA has their own on-campus fields. So we would need to, some of them use county facilities, so we would need to be, out of the tier that would allow us to participate in team sports at the parks. And I think it's pretty close to the Department of Health phases as well. So that's probably the major hurdle that we are facing right now. And then getting, of course, as far as public, we're all public schools in the OIA. I think another one is, how many students would be attending in person at school, and getting all our guidances and protocols, cleared up before we actually start workouts and practices at our school campuses. There's a lot of very new procedures and new world out there as far as sanitizing and cleaning and distancing, the wearing of face masks. There's going to be a lot of different aspects to, going out there and getting on the fields or getting on the courts. So I think that those are really big issues that are the major issues that we need to satisfy before we allow our student athletes to return in a safe manner.